My name is Tarik Cyril Amar. Welcome to this introduction to the history program at Koç University in Istanbul. I am a historian of Russia, the former Soviet Union, Ukraine, and in general, Central and Eastern Europe. I'm an associate professor at the program. I myself have been trained at the University of Oxford, at the London School of Economics, and at Princeton University. Koç University is, of course, a research university, and in my view, that is extremely important for students at all levels, including, perhaps even especially for undergraduate students. One reason is that the professors, the lecturers, the instructors who teach you are always also involved in research projects of their own, which means that you will be taught by those who do not only read books or write books, but by those who actually create the knowledge that goes into books. You will have a much closer connection to what research, science, the production of knowledge actually really is when you are at a research university. At the same time, there are, of course, many ways in which you can approach knowledge. And the way in which this has played out in our world is that there are different disciplines. So you may study something like history, but of course, you might also study, for instance, sociology or political science or international relations. At Coach, I think we have found a good balance between each discipline being clear about what it itself has to contribute, which is often unique. So history does do things that others don't do, and vice versa, but also cooperating and connecting between these disciplines, which of course is what we usually call interdisciplinary work. At Coach, the social sciences and the humanities, for one thing, are integrated in one major organization, in one college. So there is an inherent tendency, an inbuilt tendency at Coach for these different approaches to knowledge, to learning, to be interacting, to be integrated with each other. The history program at Koç University is, as the university as a whole, a relatively young but also very ambitious program. It has recently expanded the number of its faculty. It has also added a doctoral track, a PhD track. This speaks to the fact that the history program at Koç has one great advantage, which is that it's dynamic. It's developing and it is still growing. It is not resting on its laurels, to put it differently. At the same time, you have a good mix of researchers that deal with various approaches to history, say intellectual history, political history, diplomatic history, social history, of course, or others, and also with different regions. One further advantage perhaps of this particular program at this particular university is that it is not only that it has grown recently, but that we are all looking forward toward it growing even further. So if at this point you find a very strong focus on the Mediterranean, on the Balkans, on the Middle East, largely speaking, and of course on Turkish and Ottoman history, and around that you find also scholars who do other areas of the world, such as myself, doing Russia, Ukraine, and so on. I personally believe that the global approach of this program is still going to grow over time. At the same time, there's also the possibility for those who want to take their undergraduate studies in a particularly interdisciplinary direction to integrate the study of history into a double major. These double majors can take various forms. You can combine the study of history with subjects such as, again, international relations, or for example, sociology. What I should also point out in this context is that there are certificate and track programs. In particular, Koç University has recently established certificate and or track program on the study of the great space of Eurasia. This has been done in a cooperation between history, in this case, me, and a colleague at International Relations, Professor Şener Aktürk, for example. We support the global or international orientation of our students in specific ways. Perhaps the most important one of these is language training. Coach offers a variety of modern and older languages that students can take courses in. In my case, for example, Russian is extremely relevant, but of course for other students, classical Ottoman might be extremely important as well. Those who then engage in a certificate or a track program often find that language study of a certain type is required, but also, of course, an opportunity to achieve this particular qualification in addition to their, as it were, ordinary degree. Those students who wish to continue their studies after graduating, for instance, by doctorate studies, will find that in essence, there are two major opportunities or possibilities for them. One is to become a graduate student at Koç University itself. This can take the form of a master, of which we offer several, of course, but it can also, of course, take the form of a PhD of doctoral study. The second major opportunity is to go outside, to go beyond Koç University, as it were, to other universities, also, of course, other universities that are not in Turkey but abroad. In history in particular, as I've said before, our doctoral program is relatively young. We have been running it, I think, successfully now for several years, and it will continue existing. So it is always an option for students who want to stay at Koç to actually apply to the history PhD program here. As far as continuing your studies outside and abroad in particular is concerned, we of course offer all the support that we as a faculty and as a program can offer in the case of students who wish to apply in such a manner. We have had, this may not be representative in a strict sense of the term, but it's worth pointing out that we have had one example of a former Koç undergraduate who very successfully applied to study for a doctorate in history at Oxford University in the UK, has by now successfully achieved that degree and has joined us again as one of our faculty in the history program itself. As far as job perspectives, work perspectives, career perspectives after a degree in history are concerned, or maybe any degree in, largely speaking, the social sciences and the humanities, we all know that the job market is frankly unpredictable. So I will not make any promises that we are not in a position to keep, but I think it is fair to say that those who graduate with a good degree from history traditionally have found work and satisfying careers in areas such as the media, public history, which shouldn't be forgotten here, museums, of course, the press in particular, but also in public administration, government, sometimes areas of consulting, and sometimes international organizations as well. For me, Koç University is, if I were to put it in one sentence, above all, a place of great promise and great potential. If you are interested in sharing in university that is young and dynamic and probably has not only a recent and very positive past, but also a very positive future ahead of it, then you should seriously consider coming to Koç.